about something that affects millions but is often misunderstood: mental health. There are many types of mental health conditions, and each of them comes of its very own struggles. So let us break it down for you. Each one of us will be sharing about a different mental health disorder to help raise awareness and empathy. For my part, I'll be talking about something not everyone sees, but some people live with it every day: post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. Some wounds aren't visible. They don't bleed. They don't bruise, but they still hurt. Imagine surviving a car crash, yet every time you hear a screech of tires, your body freezes. Or you're a nurse who once lost a patient, and now even years later, that one room, that one smell brings it all back. This is Life with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. PTSD is a mental health condition that can develop after experiencing or witnessing a terrifying event like an accident, abuse, disaster, or violence. The brain doesn't fully switch off the fear. It keeps sounding the alarm even when the danger is gone. People with PTSD might relive the trauma through flashbacks or nightmares. Some avoid people, places, or even conversations that remind them of what happened. Others feel constantly on edge, startled by small sounds, or easily irritated. It affects sleep, focus, or even relationship, and makes daily life feel like a battlefield. In PTSD, the brain's alarm system, the amygdala, becomes hyperactive. The hippocampus struggles to distinguish between past and present, and the prefrontal cortex, which helps us stay rational, go offline. That's why some people with PTSD might overreact to something very harmless, not because they want to, but because their brain still thinks they are in danger. We often associate PTSD with war veterans, and yes, many do suffer from it, but PTSD can affect anyone: a child who lost a parent, a nurse who witnessed death, a student in a car accident. It's not weakness, it's the brain reacting to a threat that was too big, too fast, or too much to handle. You survived the event. You can also survive the memory. The good news is, PTSD is treatable with trauma-focused therapy, medication, and support. People can heal. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means they're learning how to live again without fear controlling your life. And for anyone struggling, you are not alone. What you went through wasn't your fault, and healing is always possible. If someone around you seems distant and you're always on edge, pause and don't judge. That person might be fighting an invisible war in their own mind. Be kind, be patient, because healing starts with an understanding.
Good morning, everyone. Today I want to talk about something that affecting millions of people, including me: anxiety, specifically social anxiety. Let me ask you something. Have you ever walked in a room and suddenly feel like everyone was watching you, even when they were not? Have you ever rehearsed a simple hello 10 times inside your head and then still panicked when you had to say it loudly? That was me for a long time ago, and I thought it was just a simple shyness. For the longest time, I thought I was just being shy. I would get nervous before presentation, avoid eye contact, overthink every word I said, and even replaying conversation in my head for hours and sometimes days. Even in friendly gathering, I feel like I was being judged, even if everyone was smiling to me. It felt like a quiet storm inside me that no one could see, and the hardest part, I didn't know how to explain it to anyone. Anxiety symptoms can vary from person to person, but some common signs including overthinking, panic or fear, avoiding certain people or situation, and physical tension like a racing heart or muscle tightness. These symptoms may be invisible to others, but for the person experiencing them, they are very real and overwhelming. Anxiety is not just about worrying too much. It is a mental health condition that can interfere with daily life. According to World Health Organization, anxiety disorder are the most common mental health disorder globally, affecting 301 million people in 2019 alone. And that number has grown, especially post-pandemic. In Malaysia, mental health issues are rising as what we know, especially among youth. A National Health and Morbidity Survey reported that 1 in 3 teenagers struggles in mental health problem. That is someone in every group of friends, every classroom, and every family. What is heartbreaking is how many suffer in silence because of stigma. We hear things like just calm down or you're just too sensitive. And so, we learn to hide it. We smile, we push through, but inside, we are overwhelmed. But anxiety is not a weakness. It is a condition that deserves understanding, empathy, and support. Through time, I have learned that acknowledging my anxiety was the first step to managing it. I began opening up to close friends, seeking professional help, and also practicing mindfulness. And sometimes I remind myself that it is okay to not be okay. Some of you might be wondering, why am I sharing this? Because someone out there may be hiding the same storm as mine. And if we start talking it up openly, maybe we can make it okay to ask for help. Maybe we can create a space at home, in school, in our communities where mental health is treated like physical health, with care, compassion, and also seriousness. Let's break the stigma, let's break the silence, and let's remind ourselves and others that mental health matters and no one has to fight their battle alone. That's it from me. Thank you.
Most of us eat every day without thinking. But for someone with an eating disorder, every meal is a battle. Not with the food, but with fear, shame and control. Eating disorder are serious mental health condition that affect over 28 million people in the US and up to 9% of the global population. They are not just about wanting to be thin. They stem from deep psychological distress. Anorexia nervosa, for instance, has the highest mortality rate of any psychiatric disorder. People don't just die from starvation. They die from heart failure, depression, and suicide. Yet, these disorders are often misunderstood or overlooked. Eating disorders are not a choice. They don't start with vanity. They begin with pain. A need for control, perfectionism, trauma, bullying, even compliments about weight loss can ignite it. But there is a hope. Recovery is possible. It begins with recognizing the sign. For example, drastic weight changes, obsessive food rituals, excessive exercise, and also social withdrawal. Treatment often requires a team. For example, psychotherapy like CBT or family-based therapy. Next, nutritional counseling, medical monitoring, and sometimes inpatient care. And we need to know that recovery is not a linear process. It's full of setbacks and small wins like finishing a meal without guilt or seeing a person in the mirror instead of a problem. Awareness saves life. If we treat eating disorder as a serious health condition, not a bad habit or thin phases, more people will get help before it's too late. So, with me, let's stop seeing food as the enemy. Let's see the human behind the struggle and remind them they are not alone and never broken.
What if your mind had two sets? One where everything feels like it's moving too fast, and another where it's feel like nothing moves at all. That's what it's like to live with bipolar disorder, and yet many of us still don't truly understand what that means. Today, I want to help change that, not just by explaining the symptoms, but by opening a conversation that too many people are still afraid to have. Bipolar disorder is a serious mental health condition marked by extreme mood episodes, not just by feeling happy or sad, but episodes so intense they can impact a person's relationships, works, studies, and even their sense of self. There are two main states, mania and depression. During mania, a person might feel like they can conquer the world. They may speak quickly, sleep very little, and have racing thoughts. Their confidence skyrockets. Ideas pours in, but beneath that high energy is a dangerous edge. Because judgment is often impaired, they make impulsive decisions like spending thousands of dollars, quitting jobs, or engaging in risky behavior. Then comes the crash. The depressive episodes follows like a shadow. It's not just sadness, it's emptiness, fatigue, helplessness. Getting out of bed feels impossible. Even the things that I once loved feel meaningless. I had friends who lived this reality. One week, she was writing music, hosting friends, chasing big dreams. The next, she went completely silent. She stopped replying to messages. She said, "I feel like I'm drowning and no one can see me." That's the cruel paradox of bipolar disorder. When someone needs help the most, they may not have the strength to ask. But here's something even more heartbreaking. What often hurts more than the illness is the stigma. We call people crazy. We say they are just being dramatic. We make jokes, we judge, we distance ourselves. And by doing that, we silence them. We isolate them. We push them further into the shadows. Let me say this clearly. Bipolar disorder is not just personal failure. It is not a weakness. It is not something you can just snap out of. It's a medical condition. And like diabetes or asthma or epilepsy, it can be managed with treatment and support. There are medications that help stabilize mood, therapies that help people cope, support systems that help individuals and families navigate the ups and downs. People with bipolar disorder can live beautiful, successful, fulfilling lives. They can be artists, doctors, teachers, leaders. They can fall in love, raise families, push a dream. In fact, many do. Famous figures like Carrie Fisher, Mariah Carey, Demi Lovato spoke about their diagnosis not for sympathy but for awareness. They remind us that mental illness does not define a person. So, what can we do? We can listen, we can speak with kindness, not judgment. We can educate ourselves, ask questions, and start on to stigma, because behind every diagnosis is human being, trying their best to stay afloat in a storm that few can see. So, let's stop whispering about mental health. Let's speak up. Let's show compassion. Let's be the lifeline someone needs. Because understanding bipolar disorder doesn't just save lives, it changes them. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Farah and I will be closing our presentation today by talking about something many people struggle with but don't talk about enough. Depression. Depression isn't just feeling sad, it's not something you can just shake off or run away.
It's waking up tired even after sleeping 10 hours. It's losing interest in everything, even the things you used to love. It's feeling like nothing matters anymore, even you. And the worst part, people still think that depression means you are lazy, weak, or too emotional, but that's not true at all. Depression is a real illness, just like asthma or diabetes, and it needs real care. Globally, more than 280 million people live with depression. Here in Malaysia, many young, especially students, are going through it silently. We are under pressure all the time. Exams, family expectations, financial stress. Some of us smile in public but cry alone. Some of us keep it all in, afraid people won't understand. So how can we tell someone might be struggling? Here are some signs to look out for. They suddenly isolate themselves, they stop enjoying things they used to love, they seem tired all the time, they talk about feeling hopeless or worthless. And if you feel this way, please know that you are not alone. There's no shame in talking to someone, a friend, a counselor, a professional that can help this work, not you. Earlier, you heard my friends talk about anxiety, PTSD, eating disorder, and bipolar disorder. And now, you heard about depression too. These all real struggles and they can happen to anyone, even the person sitting next to you. So let's stop saying things like just cheer up. Let's start saying I'm here for you. Let's be kind, let's listen. Because sometimes that small act of kindness can literally save someone's life. Thank you.